Thanks for listening in to Warehouse and Operations as a Crew today. I'm Marty, and we appreciate you stopping by. Last week, we were in Atlanta, Georgia. I had the opportunity to be a part of a large hiring event there. It was my second time to actually get to visit and meet applicants out there, and I really enjoyed meeting so many career-driven individuals. This week, I've been helping out again in the recruiting departments here in Texas. I really enjoy talking with all the applicants and visiting with them, kind of learning from them actually. We've talked a whole lot about, resumes and how although they don't have to be a professional document, at least in our fields, they should state, what we've done in the past, and I believe we should tailor them to each position that we're going to apply for. I believe the phone interview and the face-to-face interview techniques has really been discussed, so I won't go into each one of those again. If you'd like to review our thoughts on them, just scroll through the past episode library and look for anything that mentions social media or recruiting. There's several shows on those very important subjects. Well, there I am, kind of jumping off the page again. I wanted to get to a few more questions and get them answered about our powered industrial equipment today, but let's kind of run down the road that I've started on, I guess. Maybe I could share a couple of stories that I experienced over the last 10 or 12 days real quick. So I had this one gentleman come in. I'm sure that a recruiter had called him in after a phone interview. Everyone at the office was pretty busy, so I was asked if I could interview him real quick. Upon entering the interview room, I noticed that he had 2 little boys and his daughter with him. Now, I personally don't think coming to an interview, with your children is or should be a showstopper, but I've learned most recruiters are not of the same opinion. And I guess I can kind of see their point. I mean, that's how they make their living. They are professionals, and we should probably be more professional ourselves when we're dealing with them. Anyway, it didn't bother me at all, and we started the interview. We were just getting into his experience with powered units. He'd been a counterbalance operator for about 4 years, and actually with the same company. As I was being impressed, with all of his experience and listening to him share his thoughts, the little girl had to go to the restroom, and she wasn't too shy about it either. She was very matter-of-fact about it. The gentleman said that he needed to take her or she'd just keep kind of pestering him, and he'd ask if I could watch the 2 boys for him. Now, the girl was the youngest. I guess she was probably around 4 years old, and the boys were something like 6 and 7 years old. As much as I didn't mind that they were there, I wasn't going to be comfortable watching his children and suggested that he go ahead and take them all with him. Well, I guess everyone had to go once they made it to the restroom because I know it was over 6 or 7 minutes before they returned. When he got back, we geared back up, talking about, where all he'd worked, why he'd left, what he was looking for in his next position, things like that, when the youngest boy decided he needed to run down the hallway and got really upset when his father tried explaining to him that he needed to sit down and be quiet. Now, being me, I spent the time to conduct the interview, with the gentleman, but I can understand how a recruiter would probably have just given up or outright asked the gentleman to leave and come back the next day. I probably see this way more often than what I should, people going to interviews with children or bringing, spouses or even family members to an interview with them. I know it's hard to find or pay for a babysitter, especially when you're looking for a job. But, and we've talked about this, a couple of times before. Isn't our job interview really kind of like our first day at work? We're there showing our value, our skills. We're going to want to impress the boss with our knowledge, right? And I've heard all the arguments. Things like, I'm not being paid for the interview. Or they placed an ad and need me, so they should cut me a little slack. Or my personal favorite, I was walking by and saw the sign. If we're walking by and saw the sign, I know we haven't done any research on the position or the company even. We just have to be, or it kind of sounds like to me, we're willing to take any kind of a job that's being offered. I once had a recruiter tell me that she doesn't interview anyone that comes in and asks, do you have any job openings? She explained that in her experience, if a person does not come in and, apply for a particular position, that they're not interested in a long-term career and they may not be staying with her. She kind of looks at it, if they're willing to accept just anything from you, they may not have a direction, and they're kind of prone to leave if the job's, not exactly what they're looking for. There I go again, kind of losing my train of thought. Anyway, so my guy, he'd really impressed me. And against the advice of the pros, I felt like the gentleman would be a good hire. He had the knowledge and the experience and wanted this particular job. I went ahead and asked a recruiter to onboard him for me, and I set him up for his PIT, or Powered Industrial Training, for the next day. I was really sure that I explained to him to make certain that he was on time, and that he brought his steel-toe boots with him, and after class we'd go ahead and get him started on the floor. Man, he was very appreciative and excited that he had landed that job. He really needed that job. Well, the following day came and he didn't show up for the class the next day, nor did he call with any kind of reason or apologies. Now, by no means was that my first bad hire. Well, I'm not going to say bad hire. I'll say that it wasn't the first time that I stuck my neck out only to find that, I may have been wrong about the call. So I gave the gentleman a call the following day and asked him why he no-showed. He said that he couldn't find a sitter again. I politely told him to give me a call when he could commit to the job, and we'd see what I could do for him then. Kind of another lesson learned, or in the eyes of the recruiter, another lesson learned anyway. And I really love this one. A recruiter called about a pit class for a young man. He had the experience on the set down and counterbalance lift. I believe he drove a cherry picker as well, and the electric rider jack. All he was going to need to be certified on was the electric rider jack. That's the only piece of equipment that they had over there at their facility. The young man showed up on time, had his steel-toe boots on, and breezed through the classroom portion of his pit class. He was actually kind of a star associate until it came to operating the electric rider jack. The truth kind of came out quickly then. Although he did have quite a bit of experience on the cherry picker or the order picker, he'd never operated or even been on an electric rider jack before. Now, the position he'd been hired for was for a pallet runner, and at a facility that had no time to train him, and actually was a very fast-paced and productivity-driven environment. When his instructor asked him why he'd misinformed his hiring agent, he stated that he figured he'd be able to fake it until he could learn it. I probably don't have to tell you that he didn't get a position with that firm. I've really had a great time the last 2 weeks. Recruiting and interviewing is a part of my duties that I really do enjoy. It's so rewarding when you're able to help someone find employment. I love the challenge of placing them in just the right job and the right environment where they can prosper and grow. I guess what I'd like to get across today, whether we're looking for a job or already have a job, is that we shoulder a lot of the responsibility for getting and keeping that job. We all need a paycheck, and it's hard to remember that I hope that we're working for more than just the job or the money. Here at WAOC, we're always talking about how we have to enjoy our work. With most light industrial positions, we'll be working at least 2,080 regular hours. With many of those positions, we'll work over 2,600 plus hours when you figure in the overtime. Then if we average, let's say, 7 hours of sleep a day, that'll be about 2,550 hours. There is only 8,760 hours in a year. So if you add our working hours and our sleeping hours together, that only leaves us with about 3,600 hours for ourselves, our families and friends and hobbies, or the things that we enjoy. Pretty much 1/3 of our adult lives, we're going to be at work. We'd really better enjoy it and have a plan. We're investing a lot of time to our jobs. We might as well use that time wisely and make the most out of it, right? Well, I feel that I had a very productive week and I definitely enjoyed it. I hope you did as well and are looking as forward to doing it all again next week as I am. Thanks for listening in, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, we'll be on the social media feeds, and of course would love for you to send us a message. host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com. Shoot us an email. We love getting messages. So let's all be wise and productive this week, and above all, keep everyone safe.